2024. Ravaged by an unprecedented global pandemic, the world lies in a state of unmitigated chaos. The flames of rebirth grow ever more ferocious amidst the violence and uncertainty of modern-day America. From the ashes, 4 schlubby white men emerge, unable to resist the thrum of their biological clocks. In their hearts, they knew only one fate awaited them. To start a podcast with a questionable premise and speak with authority on things they knew very little about. And so was born Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Learner's Permit. Learner's Permit.
Hello and welcome to the Learner's Permit podcast, a show where 4 friends lock themselves in a room and forcefully educate each other on the topics they're most passionate about. Each week, one host selects a subject to educate the other 3 about in the hopes of broadening their woefully narrow horizons. I'm your humble servant, Liam, and normally I would be talking to you about movies, but due to life circumstances and growing grudge that I have that movies has been the white guy subject that has been foisted upon me by the other host of this podcast, I decided that this week I wanted to talk about something that's been top of mind. With me here today are my 3 other co-hosts. Across from me is...
Across? What the?
Kody. Hi. Again, with the fucking odd changing. I don't like this.
To Cody's left is...
Austin. I'm so confused.
And across from Austin is...
I'm Adam.
Thank you. Okay. Nice
I am
depth to your voice.
I'm going to fuck all of you over
Kody
next time.
Kody had a thing in our previous recording, and I'm going to say that so that we can just, make sure that this is dated in a proper space, because this is technically my first episode. When we were sitting down and really brainstorming about this podcast, we had a conversation about the subjects that we were going to cover, and we said that we wanted to cover every subject that white men approaching their 30s rapidly would normally talk about at a party to a girl. Everyone else got a different subject, but I was the last one to be able to choose. And just like the perennial last one picked in the game of dodgeball, I sat there and I said, movies? Really? And so I've been stuck with it. And because we haven't technically had any episodes so far, I've been just sort of wrestling with the fact that this is what I'm going to have to talk about forever, because obviously this podcast is how we make our money. And Kody already got to buy a house, which I'm really jealous of. I'm not really sure how we're splitting up the proceeds for this, but maybe we need to re-examine that. I don't know. I'm not. My subject is not real estate, but I do have a bit of a grudge, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spring it on you guys, but life has been crazy this past week, and I've just had a lot on my mind. Has anybody really had anything?
I can't believe we're just letting him keep fucking talking.
Has anyone here had stuff?
Stop him.
Has anyone had stuff that's been gnawing at them recently as well?
Yeah, as of like 2 minutes ago, with this whole fucking train of thought that you've been just unleashing on us.
I just thought this was
a lie.
I thought this was a safe space where I could be vulnerable. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But look,
Liam,
I just
if you're
wanted to
looking
be
for a serious answer, I am constantly wrestling with the concept of my own existence and mortality.
Thank you, Adam.
But
I bet that weighs on you when you are
does.
operating in your day to day. Do you operate with fear?
Not so much fear as apprehension.
So when does that seep in? When do you feel apprehensive? Does it stop you from doing anything?
Well, I wouldn't say it stops me from doing anything. I think I just feel as though I'm walking on eggshells every moment of every day.
This is all. In 25 seconds, he's going to come out and talk about the thing that he wants to talk about.
Honestly,
you are.
Adam, can I ask you, do you maybe feel like you're walking on eggshells because when you get a chance to be vulnerable, the people who you care about, the people who you're supposed to be able to trust are around you laughing?
He's going to look at me.
Honestly, I can't believe half the co-hosts in this room right now are not taking this seriously.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate you actually taking my prompt to heart. What about you, Austin? You have anything that really is bugging you?
Next time I de-shell my fucking eggs, I'm gonna throw them at your feet so that you'll really be walking on eggshells because something's coming up here. Something is coming up.
They're not gonna go very far if they're de-shelled, Austin. They're gonna be a bunch of goop. And unless you got that military issue bag, you're not throwing that very far. And even if you do, you're probably not throwing it very far.
Oh, I could throw it far.
Oh, yeah, you throw like a man?
Yeah, I can throw it.
All right,
I can shot put a bag of gelatin.
Do you feel insecure about your ability to throw things? Is that why you felt the need to sort of come out here and brag about it on microphone?
He's eating up time.
Well, I just want to know. I asked a question, but you guys refused to answer it. And that's okay if you don't want to be vulnerable. No, you didn't. You gave a joking answer and you made fun of my prompt, and that's fine. But if you have a real answer, I would love it if you would share it because this is the time. This is the safe space for us to be vulnerable.
Is this an announcement that you're running as a politician?
No, I'm trying to show.
Because you're stringing this along perfectly.
I'm not. I'm trying really hard to show an example of what proper male friendship is. You know, it's about being vulnerable. It's about being able to share with each other and talk about the things that maybe you're scared of putting out there.
I'm about to share my foot up your ass if you don't get to the thing that you're talking about. I can see
I think what's important here is we're trying to try something that the rest of the internet is not, and that's
I understand that you operate in a mode that is inherently toxic and difficult to break through.
I am toxic masculine.
If you got to talk like Solid Snake to be real with people, that's okay.
It was more of an Alex Jones.
If you got to talk like Alex Jones to be real, okay, that's fine. You know,
Solid
whatever
Jones.
you got to do to get there, Austin. That's all I'm saying. If it's not a joke, I'm being serious.
Kody is so disappointed.
I told you guys I wanted to talk about real stuff today. Cody, can you please engage?
Kody,
Austin may have gotten angry, but at the very least he's engaged. And I just want you, can you just...
Cody has buried his face in his
Take
shirt
me seriously.
Once Cody's done, he's going to be like, all right, perfect. Now we're going to talk about, like, he's going to be like, now we all have our input.
You think you know everything.
No. I just know you.
You know everything.
I just know you. And you lied. Cody, you lied to make things more interesting. And then the truth comes out eventually.
I feel betrayed.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Cody.
I asked Liam last night because this whole thing came really quickly.
It came
really quickly. It came on to us really quickly. Where Liam, I was asked him what his subject was going to be today.
Let's give the context. We had the...
Okay, you go. Yeah.
I just wanted to insert that we had life stuff that disrupted our ability to record for a little bit. Yep. Or you know, it kind of got in the way and we thought that maybe we weren't going to be recording,
Correct.
but we ended up recording.
So I asked Adam, I had messaged Adam if he was available and if he had an idea what he could do. And he was like, yeah, I could come up with whatever. And that was the previous episode that we just had. And then Liam was talking. I asked Liam, and I was like, what would you talk about? He goes, oh, don't worry. I'll be prepared. And I went, okay. I want to be prepared for your episode. And he said, don't worry. And I should have been worried. And here I am, very worried.
I didn't say don't worry. I said, don't worry. You're already prepared. Because I assumed that you guys would be willing to be open with me and just like have a conversation.
I'm willing.
Thank you, Adam. And honestly,
stop sucking up.
I'm really happy that at least one person. Why do you think there's a real topic, Austin? It was so quick for us to get here and like record.
Because I've been only confirmed yesterday for months that you didn't go to college, and then you dropped that bomb on me, and I was like, "Wait, you didn't even clarify."
Oh, so he got you on going to a school, not going to a school, because he got me on going to clown school.
Well, okay, that one's on you, Cody.
Wait, so that's not real?
No, it's not real.
Listen, I know that that's a crazy subject, but you took it so seriously. You took it so seriously that I was like, is this like a real passion?
Well, okay. Wait, before we continue, I have to say I've identified what's going on here, and just everything I'm seeing right now is very amusing to me because I already know where this is going.
I know. That's why I want him to drop it.
Where is it going, Adam?
I can't. No, I've engaged with you. I'm not. I know what's going on right now.
Hey, text me.
No.
Fuck.
Don't be on your phone during the episode, especially not during my episode. It's when I'm the one who's voiced a concern about you being on your phone. You know, I mean, it's just emotionally. It gets me worked up.
I wish the listeners could understand how much my mouth is just opening in shock and like hatred. Look, and then preemptively closing with every evil thought that is coming to my mind.
You want to? All right. If you guys want to talk about a subject, I guess, you know, I'm sitting here confused because on one hand, I have someone telling me they know what I'm going to talk about.
Hold on. Because this is our first
I'm not saying I know what you're going to talk about. I say I know what you're doing. Well, I guess in a sense, I do kind of know what you're talking about because we're already doing it.
All right, continue.
See, that confuses me. It puts me in a place of uncertainty because I thought going into this, I was being really straightforward about like what my intention was when I opened with that. And it got an unexpected response in two different sectors here. I mean, like you guys got a little angry. Adam went along with it and now is acting like we're in on some inside joke together.
I'm not saying I'm in on it with you. I know what's going on is all I'm saying.
I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't know what that means. And I'm sorry for making you guys angry. I really wasn't trying to like push any buttons. I thought we could have that approach.
Playing with my emotions.
I'm not trying to. And
hurting
clearly there is an overarching sort of theme here of you guys not trusting me.
No. It's not trusting you specifically. It's just I know as soon as we get comfortable with this idea that you don't know what you're talking about.
He's going to flip the
that's when
switch.
I know what I'm talking.
Comes out from
I know what I'm
you.
talking about. Okay, and it's not. There's no rug to pull. There's no nothing.
Yeah,
all right?
because there's no fucking rug in here.
You want a subject? You guys want a subject? Fine, we'll talk about a fucking subject. I didn't expect to be pushed like this. I'm getting a little upset, to be real with you guys. I'm getting a little worked up because I thought Adam had me sort of lulled into a sense of like, oh, these guys are going to be open with me. And I have these friends who are
I'm
mature
going to continue
and able
to be open with you.
Thank you, Adam.
I'm not straying from that.
It's upsetting because I feel like I'm being really pushed here. But you know what? Fine, we'll talk about a subject. You guys believe in aliens?
This is not happening.
I said before I knew what was going on, and this is still tracking exactly like I'm expecting it to be.
It's just throwing me off what Adam's doing. So I apologize. I've had a plan. I thought we were going to be sort of like
Austin has
out there
Austin
being
has
real.
His hands on his microphone, his headphones.
I just thought this would be a good opportunity because these are our first couple episodes to really like sort of put more of ourselves out there in a safe way. But I get it. So what about aliens?
I'm going to spring the trap here. All right. What do you want to talk
You
about?
think you're going to spring
what do you guys
trap?
believe in aliens? Because you asked for a subject. So that's my...
No, but it's not your subject.
It's a deep question. Okay.
Is your subject now
I
deep
told
questions?
you I didn't have a movie.
You didn't say that you didn't have a movie.
I did say that. I specifically said it if you were listening instead of just reacting. I did say that.
Ooh,
So
what was that?
do you guys believe in aliens?
Okay, so I told you I'm going to continue to be
goes
open
last.
with
Adam
you.
goes last.
Okay,
All right, Kody, you go first.
My preface is I'm going to continue to be open, but go ahead, continue.
Yes, they're real.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? All right, what about you, Austin?
Yeah.
Do you feel like your experience in the military has opened you up to that? Is there anything like, do they teach you to be more open to that kind of stuff or?
Not really.
Why?
Have your experiences given you any additional thought that you previously might have not had?
No.
Like you don't think that any of your experiences through serving have influenced how you might approach thinking about this subject?
Adam, you're one of my oldest friends. You are my oldest friend.
What is this side stuff, Kody? There's no sides. We're on the same team. We're trying to make a show together.
That's exactly it.
Every time you push back and cut into me trying to push this forward, you're pushing the time back further. I mean, we're going to have to edit it at this point. And look, I mean, it's been too much time already. So if you want to like hit eject and there's some other subject you want to talk about, Kody, let me know now. Is there something else you want to talk about? Is there something on your mind that you really want to discuss?
I didn't even get to answer the question.
I want your answer still. I apologize.
I want to talk about how unhinged Liam is
Kody,
being right now.
I need Kody. Right now, we're gonna have a real conversation. You and me, across the table, look into my eyes. Okay, look into my eyes, Kody.
I can't.
Open your goddamned eyes, Kody. I'm trying to do my episode. I didn't do this to you on your episode
Because I had a subject.
I didn't do this to Austin on his episode. Certainly didn't do it to Adam on his episode. Okay. Adam had an unorthodox episode. I'm doing the same. It's a little bit different, okay?
Okay.
Go with me on it.
Uh-huh.
Just go with me.
Okay.
Wherever the conversation goes, just go with me. Mm-hmm. Can you at least promise me you'll try?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Adam, what was your answer to the question?
I believe it is very unlikely that humanity is the only conscious or intelligent entity within the universe.
Have any of you guys ever had like alien sighting experiences or interactions?
I have actually seen a UFO before, yes.
Oh, where?
This is going to sound really, really fucking stupid, but it
Because it is.
It was in the when I think it was during my senior year of high school, and it was in the fields behind the high school.
Okay.
And I was not the only one that saw it either. I was hanging out with 3 other people, and as teenagers do, we were smoking some weed. Definitely not on school grounds. We might have to edit that. But
What are they going to do? Sue you?
yeah, is there a statute of
I
limitations
have
here?
the school on speed dial.
Anyway, we were all just kind of like vibing. The conversation had come to a lull, and I noticed that all of us were kind of just like looking up at the sky. And at the same time, in perfect unison, all of us jumped up and looked at each other because we realized that there was I can't remember if it was a sphere or a disc. It was hanging out above the high school, and then we all saw it at the same time, looked at each other, looked back, and then it darted off at a ridiculous speed instantaneously and disappeared.
I think I figured it out. I'm going to keep it all to myself, but I think I figured it out.
Dude, I'm trying to. Okay. All right. Cool. Anyway.
Again, to be clear, I'm not insinuating that you're on anything. I just. Okay. Continue. Sorry.
You guys done?
Yes.
Okay, well, since you all agree that aliens exist, or you all think that aliens exist, why would you think that they haven't contacted us? Is there any reason? You know, like you have any theories as to why we have no solid proof of aliens existing?
I would probably stay away from the planet that threw up that fucking unhinged, like, what's the gold fucking disc we sent up?
The gold record.
Yeah,
or
and it's got
whatever it
like
was.
all this like all this stuff that
Sounds.
Yeah.
like
World
sounds
sounds.
and then weird like
You think-
hieroglyphs that they're like, oh, they'll totally understand it.
They'll
Me as a
know
human
when they
being,
see it.
I
feel
look
like-
at it and I'm like, I don't fucking understand what's going on in this thing at all. Why would anyone else understand?
I feel like they got to reissue that record with Crazy Frog on there,
oh god,
or like Darude
it's
by
just-
Sandstorm, or Sandstorm by Darude.
yeah, Darude Sandstone.
Yeah.
I think there are multiple possibilities. I think, we could be a zoo, or, we could just be like an ant to them and they don't really give any real thought towards us.
Yeah.
Or perhaps they are waiting for us to reach a certain state of conscious alignment. So they might be looking at us and going, these fucking low life, unintelligent beings are fighting each other because their different colors are identified differently.
Isn't there like a intergalactic like threshold kind of thing that like
The Covenant?
Oh, are you talking about
Covenant.
like
there's like that
the
threshold.
Great Filter?
The Great Filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
The Great Filter basically is like, oh, the species will never get past these thresholds if they can't do these specific things. So it's like, if they can't like civilize or whatever, they'll never become a thing. And then after that is another thing. And then there becomes spacefaring and then another thing.
So is that a
But-
theory
but
about
the-
like?
It's not really a theory. It's more of like a,
There's a proverbial brick wall that
Yeah.
certain civilizations might hit and not be able to advance past because
Correct.
they just can't get over or past themselves.
right. And like, it's not just themselves. It could be their solar system itself. Like
But we
they're
only
not
have
giving,
one example of a spacefaring species, which is us. So how do we
But-
measure those things?
but it's,
You can't be like, well, they can't have war because they're killing each other all the time. You know?
Right.
That's why I asked if it was a theory. 'Cause
well, it's not really a theory, but I guess they've, I don't know who they technically are, but they've been like, oh, maybe this is what like dictates what spacefaring beings can be or intergalactic beings could be.
A theory that's been tossed around in the UFO community a bunch is that whatever they are, the non-human intelligence, if you will, are waiting for humans to understand what space and reality actually are, and that we don't really fully comprehend what this space, I mean that literally, and well, I guess just literally, the area in time and space that which Earth exists, we don't actually, I guess, comprehend what it really is. We know it's a vacuum. We know other bodies are in it, like stars and asteroids and planets. But what is space? Anyway,
it might be a little too broad for,
yeah, maybe.
unless you guys want to go into that. What is space? I mean, I'm open to wherever you want to take this conversation.
I'm afraid of it. Full stop. That's it.
I
Afraid of
imagine
space?
it.
Yeah.
Would you never
But
go?
you watch so many space things. You like sci-fi, don't you? You
Yeah,
play
but-
Halo.
Yes. So
Star Wars.
that's
Yeah.
my stipulation is like they live in a universe where space travel is as safe as traveling on the road is. So like there's obviously still risk factor to it, but it's so averse to the point where it's like you accept it as like a thing that's going to happen. Now it's like I don't want to go up there and fucking spaceship Challenger my way into the fucking atmosphere. Like I would like Halo is cool because they figured all that shit out. Like if something blows up or whatever, it's because the Covenant blew you up or
Yeah.
you ran into something.
You're not going to
or-
accidentally drive your spaceship into a pod carrying a LP with Crazy Frog on it. Yeah.
Like this because most of the kinks are made out. There's no way if someone was like, hey, we want to send you up in a ship today, I'd be like, fuck no, dude, I'm not doing that.
I imagine it's like if you're working in a game editing software like Unreal Engine or something, you know how you can see the X, Y, and Z axis, and you can click on an object within that field, and you can manipulate its position effortlessly and instantaneously. Just click on it, drag it around. Like maybe that's what the reality of our reality is. Maybe we're just on these various axes that we currently do not know, at least to the public, how to manipulate. And maybe that could explain why some of the craft that are witnessed by people are able to instantaneously wind up in a different location because they're manipulating their place in space-time. They're not actually moving. It's like they're moving everything else around themselves.
Well, I mean, if there are aliens, they're probably really advanced, but I doubt they'd be like people,
Yeah, it could
You
be
guys-
artificial.
I just feel like you're not checked into this conversation at all. I'm a little disappointed, honestly.
I'm checked in. I'm
All right,
just
fine. I'll bring it to you guys. I'll bring it to your level, okay? Would you, if hypothetical aliens exist, right? Would you have sex with an alien? This is the kind of shit you guys want to talk about, so let's bring it there.
I feel like
Would you have sex with an alien, Austin?
No.
No?
that's racist.
Well, to be expected.
So that's just no dead stop.
It's just so good.
How about you, Kody? How about you? Can we get an answer? Please just help me out here. This is I'm drowning. You're drowning me.
I plead the fifth.
You wouldn't have sex with an alien?
No, I don't think so.
Would it depend on what they looked like? Like, are there any no-goes for features or like forms? Because I know there's a
Goop.
lot of different... No goop?
No goop.
You wouldn't fuck a goop alien.
No.
But if it was... What if the goop was in the shape of like some really big breasts?
Now,
Would you? Would you?
For all we know, humanity could be like, not necessarily from Earth.
Cody, this is the direction you guys steered it in. All right. I tried
did
to go
not-
in
I
an
did-
earnest direction.
I did not bring it this way at all.
You kind of
I
did.
answered your
Both
question.
you guys kind of did. Okay, so I want to hear your answers. What are the no-goes for aliens that you wouldn't fuck?
I'm waiting for him to flip the switch still.
yeah, but that happens when you get comfortable with what's happening.
You have never been comfortable.
No,
And I
I've
don't
been
get it.
comfortable
I
before.
tried to start from a place of vulnerability on my part so that you guys would be, and it seems like it did the exact opposite.
I'm comfortable.
Thank you, Adam. See, I get one vote of support here.
because I know I'm trying to.
God damn it, dude. Just give it up. Give it up. You're wasting my time. Okay.
All right, yeah,
This
I'll
is
answer
podcast
any
time.
question you want. It's just gonna,
Yeah. Okay. So what are the no-goes for fucking an alien in your book? You've seen a lot of aliens in all the sci-fi media that you've done. Would you fuck the Arbiter?
no.
Okay. All right. I'm just
With
gonna start
Keith
running
David's
these
voice?
running these by you if
All
you're
right,
not gonna
yeah,
come
go
up with
ahead.
stuff
Yeah,
on
go
your
ahead,
own.
go ahead.
You wouldn't fuck a goop. I think Cody already established
What's
that
a
part.
goop?
Well, actually, you
I'm
didn't
good with
answer my second question though. If it was okay, no,
I feel like
no amorphous blob creatures
No.
would get fucked by
Yeah.
Cody. Okay.
Ethereal
Even if
amoeba.
they like shapeshift into stuff.
no, because they don't get like
What about shapeshifters? What about shapeshifters?
No.
Like their natural form is something weird, but they can perfectly mimic a human woman.
no,
Because you'd know.
because you'd know.
Okay, what about animated Scooby-Doo movie where they're in Nevada and Shaggy has that girlfriend who's a hippie,
But
and
that's-
then she
that's
turns
kind of
into
a
an
goop
alien.
monster, though.
She's not a goop monster.
No, that's
she's
a-
just like
that's a shapeshifter.
humanoid, but she's got a really long
lava
head.
lamp.
Was this like
She's
one of
got
the
lava
older
lamp skin.
2D ones?
It was like one of the early 2000s
Yeah.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Would
like
you?
in the same
Would
thread
you?
where
Would
like
you?
they're in
You
the
wouldn't?
swamp.
No,
Why?
okay. I thought she was cool when she was the
hippie?
hippie girl
Yeah,
that
but-
drove.
but
And then they had like
Red?
the really good song in it.
I don't remember.
I don't remember
it.
the song.
But I remember the musical number. Yeah.
Yeah.
The song probably wasn't about how her head made her unfuckable, huh?
No, he was talking about how much he loved her and stuff.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And they were eating
Yeah.
sandwiches in the
and you
in the
know
car.
when it came time to
Yeah.
put his metal to the test, he failed. He saw that
'Cause
head
she
and he
went
said,
back to space.
No, she left.
Shaggy should have gone to space. I agree. So
Yeah.
okay, you don't have any other things? It just can't be goop? What about a xenomorph?
Oh my god.
I don't think you really have a choice with the xenomorph. They kind of just take you.
Well, but I mean like the actual xenomorph, not like the face hugger.
No.
You know, that's a whole different scenario.
Do the
Predator?
Xeno-
Anybody find the Predator sexy?
No.
Just a little
No.
bit?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
What about you, Liam?
This is what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, this is definitely what I want to talk about. I don't know.
One of the Helldivers 2 aliens.
No, I wouldn't fuck I probably wouldn't fuck a bug. I'm there with Kody. I wouldn't fuck a goop.
Would you
alien.
fuck one of the arachnids from?
He just
Starship
No, I
Troopers?
just said I wouldn't fuck a
No,
bug.
Starship
That's the same
Troopers.
shit,
But-
buddy.
Would you fuck the brain bug?
No, I wouldn't fuck a brain bug.
What about like that gaseous being in that one episode of Rick and Morty that
I'm
they call
not-
fart?
I'm not familiar with that, but probably not because that falls in the same category as goop monster. I'd probably want to fuck an alien with like more limbs than a normal creature, or like weird limbs. Maybe like
Like tentacles?
I don't know, tentacles is a little too stereotypical, but like long arms. You know, like if they had like long, like
double
eight
jointed arms?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that too. Maybe you know.
You know what I'm talking about.
Is there an alien with double jointed arms?
You know, you said you
Okay.
wouldn't fuck a bug, but this is starting to sound awfully like a
Nah, it
daddy
wouldn't be
long
a bug,
legs.
but I'd probably want them. Like the limb thing is definitely one. They have to be like, I don't know if they'd have to be humanoid. Are you guys getting bored?
No, I'm just.
I'm
just feel like
extremely entertained.
I am.
To be clear.
It's in extreme defense mode. My like. My body is like.
His spikes are
I'm
out.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'll answer.
my anti-cavalry spikes are out. I'm putting up C-wire
Okay,
on all my
okay,
positions,
okay,
dude.
okay,
All the
all
guns
right.
are already in place. Like
Look,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the
I
onslaught.
get it.
To show
You're
up.
not used to this like looseness.
No.
We did so much to establish a formula, but sometimes shit gets broken up. So you know, let me just finish answering the question, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
Because you guys wanted to know, and I'm kind of like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm getting more specific in my head. I'm like, well,
Are you?
yeah, actually,
No,
like, well, because
no,
the more
let
I
it
think
finish.
about it, the
Let
more
it finish.
I'm like, well, you know, gas, no, slime, no, bug, no, but you get this long arm thing. Then I'm like, well, that means they're handy. They're
super
probably
easy
good.
reach around, right?
Well, that too, yeah. But you know, if they're crafty with their hands, if they got more than two, like 4 maybe or something like that, that's cool.
So like some like fucking Goro shit.
Yeah, something like that, you know. And if they're good with
Wait a
their
minute,
hands,
wait a minute.
I want them to be
What?
good with their
Is
hands.
that a thing?
That was a party foul.
Yeah.
No, it's
That
not.
was a party
Goro
foul.
is from Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So
I
anyway,
didn't
I would
know.
want them to
That's
be
a
good with
party
their
foul on
hands, and
me.
I would probably want them to be like skilled, you know, like skilled enough
God,
to
it's
win
coming,
something like
dude.
like
It's
the
fucking
Bunta
coming.
Eve Classic, maybe.
Oh my
You know,
god! I knew it was
I'm
coming.
just kind
I got
of
it.
picturing
I fucking knew
Sebulba.
it was coming.
I'm just kind of picturing Sebulba.
No, this is why. This is why.
But don't you see what I
fucking
mean?
knew what you're saying.
Don't you
This
see
is
what I
why
mean?
I have trouble with you, Liam, because I know something's coming.
I just feel like there's
I
no
know
other
I told-
example.
I said I figured it out.
There's no other example of a pod racer that has had such a long and illustrious career. And also, he's got bitches, man. He's got so many bitches. I mean, granted, they're slaves, but like they are well known to be good at massages. You know, he's got at least 2, maybe 4. And
Is
they're
that
twins, I think.
canonically? Is
That's
that-
canonically, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
There were 2 possibilities in my head. I knew it was either going to be Star Wars or Men in Black.
I had,
Yeah, and you know,
I had Star Wars and Signs.
I just think the pod racers are cool, man. You know, pod racing is something we can all get around. I'm not a sports guy, but pod racing every year
sports
when
guy.
it comes around, I'm like, woo, let's do it. And nobody gets it like Sebulba. That's all I'm trying to say.
Except for that one year.
Guessed it because we all.
But
have
here's the
seen
thing.
it. We just watched it
We did just go see this.
Sebulba did get owned by a child, so that does make him a little less sexy.
Yeah, but he's
by the only child who's able to pod race. The only
That's
human.
true. But he did. I read up on it because I wanted to know what his career was like afterwards. He went back to his home planet. He won multiple more races, you know, and he put out a hit on the guy who bet against him during the Bunta Eve Classic. Went crazy, you know. I admire Sebulba, but I do think it's bad to try to fix races and bet on them. And that leads me to what I really wanted to talk about today because it's been weighing on my mind. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that you're all familiar with, especially if you've seen this movie. I wanted to talk to you about space Jews.
I figured you were going to talk
You
about
guys-
space Chinese.
Well, that falls under the category of space Jews. Austin.
Was
Let me
there
give you
bankers?
guys just a definition real quick. Okay,
All
this is
right.
from tvtropes.com, which is a very helpful website if you're ever interested in like, why am I seeing the same shit in a bunch of different stuff?
It's actually where I learned the word trope from.
This is
Really?
where it went off the rails
So-
for me. I knew
so-
what was going on before. I don't now.
So, Space Jew
'cause you weren't
is
there.
an alien, monster, animal, or other non-human creature that embodies stereotypical aspects of a real-world racial, ethnic, or religious stereotype, whether Jewish, black, Asian, white, or whatever. Sometimes this trope is played intentionally, while other times it might simply be a subconscious or accidental move on the part of the authors. So, we all know George Lucas. He's
George Lucas.
very intentional about his characters and his writing. I mean, he talks about it all the time about how much thought is put into the lore and everything. So probably intentional. But space Jews are present in The Phantom Menace, a movie which we all went to go see. In fact, we all saw it together except Adam, who happened to see it somewhere else at the same exact time.
Did you actually go see it with your dad?
Circumstances prevented me from doing so.
Ooh, okay. So only
not
3 of
fresh
us
in his
will be able
brain.
to contribute at all.
I've
to
seen
this
the fucking
conversation.
movie.
But yes, so I wanted to talk about this because it got me thinking after the episode. Yeah, Cody?
Can I just mention this? You're not a big Star Wars fan.
No, I am not a fan of Star Wars.
Or-
I saw the prequels when I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't really remember them. I remember not loving them, but Star Wars was omnipresent
Right.
because it was such a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's merchandise everywhere. It's market. I mean, it's one of the biggest fucking properties of all time. That's why Disney bought them.
Somebody you knew had a toy lightsaber or blaster.
Oh, I had a toy lightsaber, but
Or, yeah.
those things were pieces of shit. You know, they would
Yeah,
tell
they
us whether
sucked.
it's
Yeah,
fallen.
when you like the inertia ones.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Now, you guys, what are your positions on Star Wars?
Very big.
I fucking love Star Wars.
Yeah, I know.
I used to be bigger on it. I'd say I'm more of a casual fan now.
We are for the big.
Filthy casual. Yeah. So I want to talk about this because, watching Phantom Menace for the first time after seeing it in theaters back in 2000 or whenever the hell it came out, I was floored by just how overtly racist all of the alien species are in the movie.
I fucking love the Trade Federation.
like you.
Now, look, I want to start simple. I want to start back at that Boon to Eve classic, okay? I want to start with the Space Jew, if we will. I want to talk about Watto. Because Watto is crazy to me.
I always figured he was supposed to be Middle Eastern, like
So,
the Middle Eastern shop.
There's
owner.
actually a comment that I read, and I may or may not have written down yes, I did not write down who said this quote, so I apologize to whoever it's attributed to, but some journalist, when doing a critique of the movie, said, they managed to make Watto somehow comprehensively anti-Semitic, both anti-Arab and anti-Jew. So somehow in the portrayal, they managed to make him
But he's got
all the
everything
colors
you
of the
need.
rainbow.
He's got a hyperdrive system.
Yeah,
who
he's
else
got
has
everything
hyperdrive?
you
Where are you going
need.
to find it in that good a price?
He got everything you need. He's money grubbing. He wrings his hands. He's got a hook nose, He's a slaver. Yeah. Oh, geez. Where do all these stereotypes fall under? One thing I found interesting was that the design team of Phantom Menace described Watto as having a unique and powerful personality. And I thought, that's true, but that's not, I don't think that's true in the way that you want it to be true. I'm really not, I'm not on board with it. I don't think so.
It's true through a very specific lens.
Yeah, no, for sure. I thought it was interesting too, because when I was reading up on Watto, I was trying to be like, come on. I mean, the way that he talks to, supposedly,
that's what led me to believe that he was Middle Eastern.
well,
It sounds like they're trying to do an accent.
here's the thing. The voice actor for him, I forget the guy's name, but he said when asked about it, that he was trying to do an Italian accent. Do you
That's-
find that believable?
No.
Was he prompted with anything? Do you know? Like when he was reading lines, did they say like
No, I didn't see if there's any like production clips of them
How
being like,
funny
all
would-
right, do it a little more, Jewish. Yeah. Do it a little more Italian. He's like,
I got some notes for you.
Hey, Anakin, come on.
I've got
I like,
do a little bit more Joey Wheeler?
yeah, exactly.
I never for a second thought that he was trying to sound Italian.
No, I think it was very one note in what he was trying to sound. Now, I thought Watto would be a good place to start because you're introduced to him very early on in the film, and he plays a pretty substantial role in 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, after the Boon to Eve classic, it's like, whatever. He got beat, and he's like, oh, you cheated me, but like,
That's pretty good.
That
dude.
was really good.
thank you. I'm not going to bust that out again because
Yeah,
I
don't
do
do
find
it.
it offensive.
Do it.
But yeah, I mean, he is literally like, and in the second movie, even they give him a little beard and like a hat that is very reminiscent of like a Hasidic.
I didn't even
I
think
forgot
about
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
And
He
it's
does
like
have one of those.
you got the complaints immediately upon the release of the first film, and then you went in and digitally
Doubled
added
down.
in. Yeah, you doubled down.
And then the first thing he asks Anakin for is a shakedown.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Anakin to go shake down some people that owe him money.
You know, and I think George Lucas, you know, people love him, people hate him. They don't like that he went back and screwed with his own art, which, like, however you feel about people, you know, meddling with their own art. Or
He made one iteration of The Empire Strikes Back, and all they changed was that the TIE fighter shot blue lasers instead of green, and they fucking re-released that.
well, yeah, but then they also put in a bunch of CGI creatures and stuff.
No,
you know.
but there's one iteration on the VHS tapes that's all they changed.
Oh, that's kinda cool.
Post effect. That was it.
Well, that's good, right? Right or no? Is it a bad thing?
It just kind of baffles me. It's like, hey, I don't know.
Well,
if it
because
was
I think he
intentional or
was
not.
someone who was fascinated, or is someone who's fascinated with like technological advances and like what we can do digitally.
Yeah.
So he's got Industrial Light and Magic as his company. So like, I imagine he just was like, we could do so much more.
Forgets what makes practical effects special.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I don't know the thinking behind George Lucas, but like when it comes to his characters, it's the writing, which has nothing to do with digital effects. I gotta say. And, you know, Watto is not the only example in the Phantom Menace.
Who else is there?
The very
The Trade
first,
Federation.
yes, the Nemoidians, as they're called.
I never knew the name for them.
I think they might be the very first characters to speak in the movie.
My brother and I have always just called them the Chinese aliens.
Yes, and you call them that because they have incredibly thick, stereotypical but vague Asian accents, and they're a species known for their firm grasp on the trade, sector of the reality due to their shrewd negotiating skills and their mass production technology. You know, they also wear like sort of Asian inspired clothing too, which I noticed. I know a lot of the clothing in Phantom Menace is like, oh, you're kind of signaling what you're doing here with the costumes that you put these aliens in, just a little bit. I think it's very interesting to start the movie off with like a comically racist accent. Comically racist.
When we were
I
in
do
the
find it funny.
when we were in the
It is
theaters,
funny.
and it happened, every single person started fucking cracking up because how fucking ridiculous it was.
Oh, it is. It's insane.
So
Especially to
it's
come
so
back
bad.
over 25 years later and be like, whoa, buddy. I don't know how things were in 1999, but I don't know, man. This doesn't pass the sniff test here in 2024.
But that being said, like I know what's going on. Like, yeah, it is so specific. You know exactly what's going on. But if everyone talked just like without accents, then the fucking film would be miserably boring.
That's true. And, you know, I think that's part of what I find interesting about this subject as a whole is that, like, sci-fi, right? You know, it's something where a lot of the times you are telling stories that are allegories for modern day problems.
Right.
And you have tropes, and that's what tropes are for, and characterizations. They're for shorthand so that you can easily, like, tell an audience what they need to know about someone without, like, having to say it outright in dialogue of like, oh, we are just like the human Japanese. Like we're, you know,
You might be familiar with our Earth counterpart, Japan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's hard to like bring out those characters when you only have such a short amount of time that you
But
can
I
really.
think what the original series did better was that instead of just like choosing these character archetypes or really poor stereotypes, they just made the aliens not speak English.
Yes and
That's fair.
no, because even the aliens that didn't speak English, like the sand people, you know, like the Tusken Raiders.
Correct.
George Lucas has said that he originally envisioned them as sort of a counterpart to Native Americans, which is like,
that is not what I would have
okay,
expected.
you're portraying violent and unruly people. Like, oh, okay, all right, not
That's
great.
what you think they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's the creator himself saying
I
this was my intention.
immediately every time think Taliban every single
So,
time.
well,
that
see,
I
here's
get.
the thing: you have maybe it's because the cultural sort of shorthand has changed. Maybe
Right.
it's because you have these other points of reference that come out stronger. But like at the time, he's writing this, you know, space western basically, and he's like, I'm going to put in the Native Americans in a really offensive capacity. But then you have like in The Phantom Menace.
From that day forward, every stick that I found that was big enough in the woods, you bet your ass I was holding it above my head making those.
Oh,
noises.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in The Phantom Menace, they come off more like hillbillies. Honestly, they're sitting there shooting
they
at
just
the
take
pot,
pot shots.
which is very funny.
I'd be right up there.
And in
with
the
them,
original
dude.
Star Wars, they kind of just seem like menacing monsters.
Well, yes,
Yeah,
with a nice racial undertone there. I think with the Trade Federation, there's an interesting thing. When I was reading into this, they apparently, like, when they dubbed it into different languages, the accents that they use are coded for different, like, places. Like when they put it in German, that it's a French accent.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, so that I guess they did it differently. But I'm assuming that each time they did it, it was still unoffensive.
Like translation notes
Yes.
were just like, okay, guys, whatever country you don't like right now, just make it that accent.
Yeah. And I wonder if somebody had to sit down in like the post-production and be like, okay, now we're going to redub it and we're going to, George Lucas himself is sitting there and was like, all right, we're going to make sure that it's going to be a French accent in German. I'm going to call up my
I want you
Indian
guys to have a little bit of
friends.
fun with this.
What country do you guys really get frustrated with trade-wise?
what country really grinds your gears?
that's exactly what happened too.
Yeah, I mean, probably, honestly. But it's kind of fascinating to me because because it's so broad. Without the accent, it's like you just know they're the Trade Federation and that they are duplicitous and shrewd negotiators with access. What? Duplicitous?
Duplicitous, yeah.
Like two-faced.
Ah, okay.
Yes. And they have access to mass production technology because they're able to make all these droids, right? So like the Chinese have their mass production or whatever.
Every drone is an iPhone.
It's interesting that when you transpose the movie into different languages and different cultures, you can just sort of paint whatever you want over it.
Right.
Which speaks to the fact that these stereotypes are just like completely empty. You could say the same thing about whoever, really. Which I think maybe is less true about my favorite character from the film.
Oh, here we go.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Now,
You could have seen that one coming.
You guys may have been clued in by my intro that I was going to talk about this because I did call myself, I didn't say Misa, your humble servant, but I did quote the very first line that Jar Jar has in the entire movie where he says, Misa, your humble servant, immediately calling to mind like minstrel shows and slavery and all these things that Jar Jar's characterization are pretty clearly pulling from. His dialect is like the way he speaks is like a fusion of like 3 different speech patterns. I think they're pulling a little bit of like West African, a little bit of Jamaican, a little bit like, but it's like it's all black coded basically. And like with the Nemoidians, you could maybe say, well, they just went a little crazy with the characterization.
They went way over the edge with Jar Jar.
Well, it's baked into the way he's written. I mean, the way he acts, he is literally like a fool character from a minstrel show, which is not. There's no way at all to be like, nope, that's not what we were doing. I mean, George Lucas has. I'm sure he could probably pull up quotes of him and be like, oh, we never meant any of that. Jar Jar's meant to be the cartoon sidekick to
to sell marketable plushies.
Yeah. But Jar Jar's still my favorite character. I found him compelling and emotional in the movie. When he said
the most bomb-bad of all generals.
He said, "Wisa in big doo-doo." Then I said,
I'm in.
Wisa are. Wisa are. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that the intention behind these things is what matters? Or do you think that there is... Because I feel like this is not something that is exclusive to George Lucas. I just thought that The Phantom Menace would be a really good lens to talk about it because there are so many ripe examples of it in the movie and like really not subtle in the slightest. But I think this is something that is the concept of space Jews is something that is prevalent over so much of sci-fi, fantasy, even anime. I mean, there are different shows. You could find examples in different shows because, like I said, it's not exclusive to, portrayals of characters that are supposed to be Jewish.
Or Star Wars.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any other examples that
just
that
making sure Cody's following.
You can think of, or do you have any thoughts on this? Because it's something that I know you've all been exposed to one way or another, even if it's just this movie.
I'm sure I can think of something else in another, especially in a sci-fi case. But the one that comes to mind for me is the Mandalorians, where they verbatim just took New Zealand and used it as a template, right? Like it's it's a planet that exists on its own, and it's like a warrior culture that's like heavily ingrained in it. So it's like maybe not quite as heavy-handed as some of the other ones, but it's literally just like, oh yeah, we'll just take New Zealand and drop it in. On top of that, the guy that we're going to get to play the only Mandalorian like in the prequels is going to be a New Zealander, because that's the only time they had to flesh out what the Mandalorians were, is when they made Jango Fett.
Yeah.
And then they created the background. So they literally just plucked a real world example and was like, yeah, we'll just make these literally like space New Zealanders. And that's how they described it.
There's actually an interesting distinction. That might be considered something a little different. Space use specifically refers to like the use of stereotyping.
Right.
Like you're using the often negative stereotypical aspects of a certain type of people or culture.
Yeah. So I was just talking specifically from like, it would like maybe not space Jews, but the way that that's structured of like, oh, you know, when you're trying to explain it to somebody who hasn't seen it, you're like, oh, they're basically space Jews. This is just space New Zealand. So yeah, not the same thing.
So there's like, I was looking into this and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Cause there are so many examples of that specifically. There's a term for it. I forget exactly what it is. I can pull it up, but I don't care about checking my sources, but it's basically like fictional counterpart country.
Right.
And it's like the same thing where it's like, well, we're just going to take aspects of the culture and like imbue it in whatever fictional society that we're depicting here. But it's not like, oh, New Zealanders, like I imagine in the, what was it? The Mandalorian Society. They're not all like, you know, like, crikey, mate.
Yes.
You know, like,
yeah, they just, most of them talk like New Zealanders, but yeah,
they're not all racist and they're not all like drinking all the time, or I don't know, New Zealander stereotypes. It's a bad example. Yeah. You know, Kody, you have something in your mind? You look thoughtful.
Did George Lucas direct Indiana Jones too?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
No, he was involved in it. I don't think he directed it. It was Steven Spielberg that directed it, I believe.
I believe you are correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
but George Lucas does own it though, right?
Yeah. He created the character. Why did you?
Never mind.
No, you can talk about it.
No, because I was wrong. Because I was going to bring up Short Round.
Short Round. I guess that's interesting because I think that's just a racist depiction,
right?
Which leads us to think like, okay, here's where you're coming from with this,
right? I was going to come back around and be like, if that's George Lucas, then inherently he's just a racist.
Yeah. Well, it is George Lucas because I believe he wrote it. So like Steven Spielberg just directed it and George Lucas, I believe, wrote those movies.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but he definitely created the characters and like had oversight on like the way that the story went and stuff. So
it's like Quentin Tarantino with Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, well, Quentin Tarantino writes himself into every movie so that he can say the N-word and suck feet.
I have heard that's like the thing that goes there, so he can just say the N-word.
Yeah, it's really egregious in Django Unchained where he shows up for 2 seconds just to do that in a bad Australian accent. Yeah, he rocks.
But yeah,
I was seen that movie and I don't remember that part.
Yeah, of course you don't because it's completely forgettable. It's right towards the end, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, no, so George Lucas is just inherently racist.
Kind of, yeah. You know, I think he might just be a guy who's like eternally oblivious and working off of these stereotypes.
Yeah, probably.
I think he's working off these stereotypes and he's not able to work them out of his system because it's not like he was the first to do it. He was maybe the best, but not the first for sure. You know,
it's like he's clearly not trying to be offensive, but he's not self-aware at all about how he's coming across.
I just think it's really interesting to sort of think about how widespread these are because you can watch anything that's set in a fantasy or like a sci-fi setting and you're going to find some kind of character, most likely, that could fit into this category. Like I will say right now, I'm a big fan of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. You guys watch Star Trek at all?
Nope.
I watched The Next Generation because I really liked Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, so none of you guys watch Star Trek?
No,
I'm not a huge Star Trek.
I've watched the new movies, but this
is perfect. You're going to have no frame of reference for this, and I'm so happy to be able to tell you about this stuff. Okay, so in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there's a race called the Ferengi. Now, the Ferengi have been introduced in The Next Generation, which was the previous series, but they were like just very limited. I think they were in like 1 or 2 episodes, and they were the villains of the episode. They were kind of like maybe a little similar to the way that the Trade Federation is portrayed, but without the racist accent.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm glad that you said that way.
You did it so well. I'm proud of you.
I was doing it the Star Trek way.
So the term Ferengi is taken from the Persian term for foreigners or Europeans, which is Ferengi, or it's like a bastardization of it or whatnot. But the Ferengi are an orange-skinned, wide-nosed people who have massive ears, which, by the way, they feel sexual stimulation from when you touch. And they follow, their society runs following the rules of acquisition, which are like a set of proverbs to govern any kind of trade or deal making. Okay.
Like,
is this
just
sounding
basically like calling rights to stuff? Like,
well, no, it's like,
Do they do a cheese wheel race for
no,
it?
I could read you some of the rules of acquisition if you gave me a second, if you guys could vamp for me to look it up,
Yeah.
but I know none of you guys are bisexual.
So
Hetero flexible.
awesome. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
that's tough. I've always like flip-flop between them. As a kid, it was probably Return of the Jedi, but because I just like that it wrapped everything up, and then it kind of morphed into everybody's favorite, which was Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like it changes every once in a while.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Good answer, Austin. Let me read you a couple of the rules of acquisition. So these were actually established in Deep Space Nine because one of the main characters of Deep Space Nine was named Quark, and he runs the bar on Deep Space Nine, which is the ship that they're all on.
They're not on the Enterprise?
No, they're so Deep Space Nine is different than all the other Star Trek shows because they're on a stationary, a space station
Like a
that's right
docking
outside
station?
of a wormhole.
Oh.
They discover a wormhole and they're like, well, we got to go guard that and observe it and see what the fuck it's all about.
So it's like a stationary battle station?
yes.
Oh, that's
not
really
really
cool.
I wouldn't say it's a balance. It's like
It's a docking station then?
It's like a.
Is it like the original crew, or is it different people entirely?
So it is different people entirely, but two members of the original crew come over. Well, the Next Generation crew. So O'Brien and Worf both come
okay. So
over. I
this
think
is
Worf comes over first and then O'Brien. Or might be the other way around.
Patrick Harris.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris show. But
What's it? The
Will Wheaton?
no?
Patrick Stewart?
Yes, this is the Patrick Stewart crew.
No, that was Next
those
Generation.
two are from the Patrick Stewart crew.
Right. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Highly recommend the show if anybody hasn't.
It sounds really cool. Actually,
It's awesome. It's an awesome show. It's
Been
really
on
well
my
written.
radar for a hot minute.
If you want, I can give you some recommendations for episodes to watch. But we're talking about the Ferengi right now. So let me read you some rules of acquisition. You got number 1. Once you have their money, you never give it back. Easy to follow?
Yeah.
Number 2, never spend more for an acquisition than you have to. That was number 3. My bad. These are not numbered sequentially because I don't think we've ever gotten all the official rules of acquisition. Number 6, never allow family to stand in the way of opportunity. Number 7, keep your ears open. Number 8, small print leads to large risk. Number 9, opportunity plus instinct equals profit. Number 10, greed is eternal. Are you guys getting sort of a
is that a
theme?
mantra or
Can
a
we
warning?
back up for
These
a
are the
second?
rules of acquisition. These
Yeah,
are
I know,
the
but the
laws
last-
by which they operate their society.
This is the orange-skinned people with the big noses.
Yes, I'll show you a picture. It won't translate.
big ears.
but,
Well,
big ears.
one of the rules was keep your ears open, and their ears are a
was gonna
sexual
say.
organ.
Yeah.
so this is a picture of a Ferengi right here.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
see that? You see that?
Seen him before. Yep.
You seen him?
Oh my goodness.
Ferengi. That's a Ferengi. Now, would you
Looks
say
like he has a crab on his head.
it does kind of look like he has a crab on his head, but no, his forehead just looks like a butt. Would you guys say that the way I've described this, they would fall into the category of
Space Jews.
yeah?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many people would also agree. So
Absolutely.
one of the points
Once
to
you
that
have
is
their
that
money, never give it back.
all of the people who play
Jesus
the major
Christ.
Ferengi characters are also Jewish actors. So it's kind
Did
of
they do
interesting.
that on purpose?
I don't think so, but it is kind of. They might have. And then here's the thing:
Like, we need method actors.
that might
here.
be.
Go ahead.
Let me
Method
explain something.
actors.
So the Ferengi are also an incredibly like sort of socially regressive society. All the Ferengi females are not allowed to make trade.
They're not
Often
allowed to touch the money.
they can't leave the house, and they're not allowed to wear clothes.
I'm deeply confused.
Are they just
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing. What if I were to tell you that instead of being an anti-Semitic allegory, the Ferengi are actually supposed to be a caricature of Western society and specifically Americans?
That still sounds pretty spot on.
I just want to know.
Oh, damn.
I just want to know if all the actors being Jewish thing was intentional.
That
It sounds intentional to me.
Somebody critiqued the Ferengi in 2007. I think I actually wrote this one down. Jonah Goldberg of the National Review said the Ferengi were runaway capitalists with bullwhips who looked like a mix between Nazi caricatures of Jews and the original Nosferatu.
That's actually a
Which
really
physically
good
is a really
explanation.
good, it is a good
Yeah,
comparison.
actually.
But like Armin Shimmerman, who plays Quark, one of the main characters on Deep Space Nine, he was asked about this, and he said, in America, people ask, do the Ferengi represent Jews? In England, they ask, do the Ferengi represent the Irish? In Australia, they ask if the Ferengi represent the Chinese. The Ferengi represent the outcast. It's the person who lives among us that we don't fully understand. I don't know if I buy that. They're certainly playing off of certain stereotypical attitudes or ideas. But I do think that given that the name is derived from that Persian term for European, and the fact that most of the core things about the Ferengi, their love of money, their social repression, are not like those are also very applicable to America, Western society in general. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think it's there, but it's also enough room. And if you got your actors advocating for there being, it's just interesting to observe that they're all played by Jewish actors.
Well, that's what I'm still questioning.
Because I don't know in my brain if that makes it better or worse. Part of me is like, it's worse. But part of me is also like, well, if there is an implicit understanding and that's their intention.
Could also just be like as simple as Occam's razor, you know, like product of the times, less self-awareness. I don't know. I don't
think you could accuse the writers of Star Trek being not self-aware for the most part, because back then, at least, they were very socially progressive in most of what they wrote. I'm sure there are some stinkers.
When Captain Kirk kissed, what's her name, the black lady that was on the crew.
Yeah.
And they did that because they knew it was going to be like
I forgot
controversial, or because it had never been on TV before.
And Deep Space Nine features a character who could very much be considered to be like a trans representative character. I mean, one of the main characters, Dax, is inside the body of a woman, essentially, but is like the mentor, former male mentor to the captain character. So it's like a very interesting way to represent that. I just feel like Star Trek has been very sort of on the cusp of what is socially progressive. So it does make me stop and think for a minute to be like, well, did they have intention of this other thing? But if you can interpret it the way that it is often interpreted, then there's probably a problem, you know? I don't know. That's why I wanted to ask, like, do you guys think that the intention is what matters with this kind of stuff? Or is it the end result? Honest question. This is not a gotcha.
No, I don't expect it to be a gotcha. I'm just thinking about it. And like, I don't know that you'll ever get the true intention out of people, especially like, 30 to 40 years after something comes out, if they're going to tell you exactly like how things were or what they actually intended it for. And then you brought up something once when we were it was off the microphone, but when we were talking about one time, like, I don't remember if it was because it was on something, I don't remember. And we were talking about how the audience was interpreting it versus like, the creators coming out and say, oh, I've always, and that was always how I felt about it or how I wanted people.
Oh, it was The Matrix. It was, I think we were talking about The Matrix. Yeah.
And you were like, well, it doesn't really matter. And I never thought about it that way before. Where like because it's in your head, the audience owns that just as much as the people that put it out. And like, they're going to come up with what it means to them. And it doesn't really matter what you intended because people are going to fill in that space.
Isn't that what that phrase "kill your darlings" means? Like once you release it to the world, it's no longer yours.
I've never heard that before.
Well, that's the inherent implication with any art form, right? Ultimately, it ends up just being open to interpretation.
You got any thoughts?
I think it really all depends on, I guess, it's your intention versus like how other people interpret it. Because you could have every intention of doing the right thing and then it playing out wrong once you realize, oh, fuck, I put that out into the air. Ah, shit. And you can't take it back once you put it out there. You can have every intention of doing the right thing.
That's why recording this podcast is so fucking scary.
So, so do you guys think there's any reason why like sci-fi and fantasy in particular they fall prey to this so often?
Oh, I see where you're going now. I think the big thing is that we can't look outside of ourselves as a species. So trying to bring all those other species in, you have to give them, you don't have to. You give them like a voice or a lifestyle or a what?
Your bit about you don't have to. You don't have to give them. I'm sorry, keep going. Maybe it just sounded like you were being like, you can have the option of doing a racism.
Now you know what I felt like for the first 35 minutes. Trying to get through something genuine and then getting laughed at.
No, I knew that it was to cultivate.
So,
yeah. So going. you're bringing that lifestyle or something else. You have to give those characters something.
So you're saying that it comes from people writing about alien species and like things that are foreign to them,
or like fantasy, like Lord of the Rings with the.
Well, Lord of the Rings is a really interesting example because the dwarves are explicitly a Jewish, like based on the Hebrew people.
Yeah.
Like their practices and everything that J.R.R. Tolkien written in there, he was very, very adamant about these guys are based on the Jewish people.
Exactly. So like you're giving, like as a writer, you're giving characters meaning in some way, shape or form. And you're like, oh, well, yeah, cool. And then it can be misinterpreted in ways or like, then you go, well, fuck, I put it out there. I didn't mean for it, but now I have to kind of suck it up and take the hit for it. And then you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, I
don't think George Lucas ever had to have that conversation.
No, definitely not.
I think he's got that George Lucas money and can just sit out of whatever interviews are required for, hey, why is your film so goddamn racist?
Right.
You know?
But yeah, no, I think that's probably what it comes from.
I think, you know, and I think sci-fi and fantasy in particular are often operating on, you know, these like age-old concepts. Because you work from a blueprint for like everything, you know.
War of the Kingdoms kind of thing.
Well, I mean, Harry Potter, right? That's just pulling a bunch of stuff that's already been pre-established in fantasy. You got elves, you got dwarves, you got goblins. Goblins, in this case, being another very offensive space Jew.
Well, and that's a pretty
they
common
control
thing.
all the money.
That's a pretty common thing in world spaces like that too. Of like, you just take, you know, like all the things as a child that you were told about in fairy tales and stuff. And then in these world spaces like Harry Potter and stuff, they go, okay, so the suspension of disbelief is like the reason why muggles in this instance, right, believe all these things as fairy tales is because they actually exist, but they've like a lot of the times have had their minds altered because they're not supposed to be privy to it or whatever. And so the suspension of disbelief is just take the thing that you're already familiar with and just pretend it exists because that's what's in this world, right? So like, that's very common as well. Like, hey, you're already familiar with this stuff, just run with it, sort of deal.
It's just so interesting that we're working off of the blueprints that are like already offensive and inaccurate. And like oftentimes they get inserted into these stories that are meant to transport us to different worlds entirely. And then, you know, you go through that mental imaginary portal and you get to the other side and, oh, you know, you have this charming frog fellow who just so happens to operate like a character out of a minstrel show, you know? And it's like, you can't get away from it. It's like, it does to me, it does the exact opposite of what it's intended to do. You know, it's supposed to ease you into a world where otherwise you'd have to explain all this shit extensively. I don't know. I just think it's a little lazy sometimes. But it's contrasted with the example you were trying to give earlier of the Mandalorian of just like taking some piece of an existing country
right,
and using elements from that.
That doesn't have like a connotation or anything.
No.
It's literally just like, hey, you know, we needed to fill lore space, so we're just gonna grab, you know, take a fistful of whatever this nation is and throw it.
Well, they're also taking real things.
And on top of that, like the Mandalorians are probably one of the most successful areas of Star Wars lore because my brother and I have always been into them, and it's something that we always go back to want to learn more about. And I mean, in recent years with the show coming out and everything, like now it's a not that it wasn't mainstream before because Star Wars fans have always got bricked up over the Mandalorians, but now it's like even a broader audience of like all these
Star Wars fans will get bricked up over anything.
So,
we want a movie about Salacious Crumb.
Please, I'll get bricked up over that.
But yeah, now it's like everybody, whether they were Star Wars fans or not, has seen Baby Yoda at some point, and now the Mandalorian is like they're immediately world famous. Where like if you ask someone like, "Oh yeah, do you know who Boba Fett is?" They're like, "Yeah, I guess he's like the dude that stands in the background of Phantom Menace." But like only the fans were like, "Oh yeah, you know he's Jango's son. He came from Mandalore. You know he becomes Mandalore at some point." Like all that is like deep lore stuff.
And he has a really shitty show.
Yeah, well, yeah, the show is really bad. But I'm talking about like before. Yeah. So like you would have to be kind of in the know, and now it's like it's nice to see that there's a culture that's being represented positively, but it's like now everybody knows about it. Whereas like before it was, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, it is an example of them doing the right thing as opposed to the wrong thing. But and a big part of that, I would imagine, is because George Lucas isn't at the helm for the new stuff that's being made, you know. So I know we've talked about some really real stuff today. I know maybe it's not our usual like, haha, let's talk about cum stuff, but
we almost made it.
Do you guys want to wind down with a game?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was one of the biggest movies of all time, I would say. And it was one of the most merchandised films, like, ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've made so many goddamn toys. I
And
mean,
video
Star
games.
Wars in general. Star Wars is a series that exists solely due to toys. George Lucas was a fucking genius in whatever toy deal he made, because I think he was like, yeah, we'll take all the toy money, basically.
Yeah.
And they sell so many goddamn Star Wars toys. They have, even when they're not releasing movies, they'll re-release toys.
My dad talked about having the toys from when he was a kid.
It was huge. You talk to anybody from back then and they have experience, or they had Star Wars toys. They played with Star Wars toys. It's a big thing. But there's a lot of merchandise and some of it's fucking weird. So I want us to play a little game I call Made Up Merchandise, okay?
Are we keeping track again?
Yeah, we're going to keep track. Who's got a pen and paper or some kind of thing? Cody's got his phone in an acceptable context. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you guys a description or maybe just a name of a toy, and you're going to tell me if it's real or not real. And you'll all go around and tell me what you think.
Perfect.
These are all toys that would have been released around the release of Phantom Menace, specifically.
Okay.
You have everything all set to go?
Yep.
You guys ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 1. Jabba the Hutt toy where you feed him sludge.
Real.
It's 100% real.
You guys are correct. It is called Jabba Glob. It's a jar of sludge and a Jabba figure where you feed him sludge and frogs. Okay.
Frogs.
How about the Watto's Junkyard Lego set?
I feel like that's real.
Not real.
That is, well, I have I can see it in my brain, so I don't know if I'm making it
me
up.
too.
That's real.
I feel like I
That's
might have.
real. But here's the thing. I don't know if it came out when the movie or it came out later, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's real.
So this was actually the one where I believe it did come out during the movie. I had to look to verify this one, but yes, it is real. So both of you guys get a point. Okay. Number 3, Jar Jar toy where you squeeze his belly and he shoots his tongue out and makes slurping noises.
Not real.
I have all fake memories of these. I'm
Yeah,
almost
I
certain
feel like
that's
that was real.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's real.
I feel like that's something I had, or my brain is just fabricating it. I'm just going to say it's real.
It was real.
God
It was
damn it.
called Hungry Hero Jar Jar. And my God, is it
Hero
fucked
Jar
up
Jar.
looking. Okay. Figurine of a Nemoidian Trade Federation member on a walking chair.
That's real.
Now, figurine or action figure?
What's the difference in your mind?
Figurine is stationary.
Yeah, and an
Can't be
action
posed.
figure is posable.
Well, I don't know. Figurines, I guess you can pose to an extent, but action figures are typically more like.
Well, the chair is walking, so it's implied that there is some kind of movement.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, fake.
Doubling down on saying it's real.
I feel like my brother had something like this. I'm going to say fake.
Cody, you are correct.
Yeah,
that
damn.
was a
Wow.
Taco Bell tie-in toy
Taco Bell?
called, and I believe they actually got his name wrong here, but they called it Lot Dude Walking Throne.
Lot dude.
That is
Hell
apparently
yeah.
the name of the Trade Federation representative who sits in the chair, but I believe it's actually Lot Dodd because I looked it up afterwards and I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Lot, dude.
Okay, a Ben Quadaneros pod racing set.
Real.
Fake.
And it's just like does it come with figures and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I remember having
There
a
were-
pod racer toy, but
There
it
were
wasn't.
2 pod racer toys, and I remember getting upset because Anakin's pod racer wasn't one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's real.
You could get Sebulbas, but not.
That one was
Anakin's.
cool, but
Yeah.
the other one was, yeah.
That one was fake.
Really?
That one was fake. Unfortunately,
Did
Ben
you say
Quadaneros, the second sexiest pod racer, got no pod racing
No
toys.
bitches.
No
But
bitches.
there was a Sebulba one that I remember.
There were multiple Sebulba pod racing things.
I
Yeah,
had
because I
one.
remember how pissed I was. I was like, Anakin's is the coolest. I want that, which is not true. I think today, now that I've been able to refine my taste, that Sebulba's is the coolest.
Okay, a Boss Nass squirt toy.
Definitely real.
Real.
I'm going to go with fake.
Austin is correct. It was fake, but there were squirt toys of other characters.
Jar Jar.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Actually, I believe there might have been a Jar Jar one. There was a Qui-Gon Jinn one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Do you think it's
There was a
because
Qui-Gon one.
Because Qui-Gon be squirting? Yeah.
Liam Neeson?
Oh, because he's pissing all the time?
Big dick.
Well, that might explain why his pants are always so full of piss.
Yeah.
Is he pee himself?
He pees himself all the time.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Really?
Look it up. Anyone listening to this podcast, I encourage you to look up Liam Neeson peed pants. Liam Neeson piss. Any combination of those words really will get you what you need to see. Okay, so Jar Jar Binks tongue lollipop.
That was real.
That was real.
I'm going to play the other side and say it was fake.
It was real. Unfortunately, it was called Monster Mouth Jar Jar. And it was
Why do they have to do
it was
that?
a lollipop that like
feel like
had
I
a
had
handle
that.
and you would push it through and Jar Jar's mouth would open and the tongue was the lollipop, but it was
Yeah.
incredibly thick and disgusting.
That's-
I had that.
So
That's what they called him in high
You were
school.
tonguing.
You had to
Jar Jar.
lick Jar Jar's
Yeah.
tongue, yeah.
Yeah.
You had to suck Jar Jar's tongue.
I never thought about
Misa
that.
wants you suck my tongue.
I never considered as a child how weird that was.
Yeah.
I just kind of took it for granted.
Adam's like, I got so many of them, and
I think I literally just had one, but
and that was enough.
Okay, Sebulba Kush Ball.
The fuck is a
Kush ball?
Kush ball?
Kush Ball is like one of those, it's like a
Stress
little
ball?
with like little rubber spines that like kind of like, it's not hard.
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Fake.
Real.
That sounds like a Walmart special. I'm going to go ahead and say real.
It was real. It sure was real. I don't know if it was a Walmart special, but it
Did
was
you say real?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Okay,
I had a lot of Star Wars toys.
Sith Hollow Projector.
Real.
Like it was just projecting like Darth Maul or something? There's more context?
Yeah, it's like a hollow projector with somebody like in front of the machine, hollow projecting themselves.
I remember a lot of Star Wars toys. That's one I don't remember. I'm just going to say fake.
But was it like a thing? Would it change your voice or something? Or was it just
No,
like,
you're not the Sith. It's a figurine.
okay. I know that they
Austin's
made...
asking so many questions.
Yeah,
Well,
he
because
is.
I'm trying
I
to-
normally wouldn't allow this. but it seems
no,
way
no,
too
Wait,
Well,
I would like
because
to
I'm-
change my answer.
No, you can't change your
No,
answer.
and I'm not trying to like get you to explicitly say what it was. I'm just trying to visualize what the toy was supposed to be. That's all. I'm going to go with fake.
It was real. It was another Taco Bell tie-in toy.
Fuck
There
yeah,
were a
let's-
lot of those, honestly.
Let's go me.
Okay, last one here.
I'm going to lose.
Talking Watto piggy bank.
Real.
Fake.
Oh man. It's got to be real. It's gotta
I'm
be
sorry, Kody, you're the only one that got it correct. That was fake. By
Oh,
God,
man.
it should have been real though.
I was
You know what's
so ready for it
ironic?
to be real.
They had piggy banks, promotional piggy banks that they released for the movie, but it was of Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul fighting. They interlocked. So it was 3 different piggy banks that would interlock to create the scene of them like doing the fight with
That's
both of
kinda
them.
cool.
Like, sure. Yeah, sure. That's what I call it.
Well,
Cool.
if
If it
think-
was just a diorama of them fighting, I think it would be cool. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it looks like. Is it fucked up?
I mean, all these toys are kind of
So
fucked
it
up.
makes
It's
noise when you
1999.
put coins in?
I don't know. I don't know if it makes noise. I didn't
I
do
thought-
that much research.
You said the fake Watto one was a talking one, though, right?
Yes, the fake Watto one would make. If I were making it, it would make noise
So
when
what-
you put it in.
What would it say?
Maybe if you pay enough,
Yeah,
I
there you
release
go.
you, Annie.
Exactly. one fake one I didn't put on here was Anakin Skywalker figurine or doll that says "Yippee" because that doesn't exist, unfortunately. Somehow it might.
And
I couldn't
I
find
think
it.
it would have been
you know what's
easy for us
crazy is
to
I
guess.
think I had something like that.
Really?
I'm not
Well,
joking.
find it and bring it on the pod.
Okay.
So, what are the final scores, Kody?
Top to bottom, from bottom to top.
Yeah, okay.
Kody, 5. Austin, 5. Adam, 6.
Wow.
Congratulations, Adam.
Wow, pretty good. Yeah, good work, Adam.
I had many Star Wars things growing up.
You say you're the official toy boy of the podcast.
I had many action figures. When
How
I
does
was
it feel
a child.
to be a winner?
Eh.
Okay.
My brain
Congratulations.
just filled the space because I went to every time we had to go to Walmart or Target for anything, I would be like, "Mom, can we go
Toys
look
R
at the
Us.
Star Wars?
Star Wars toys, Star Wars toys.
So like my brain was just making up toys that I'm sure I saw something similar in passing. I was like, yeah, I think I've seen the packaging for that before.
Well, realistically, there are so many Star Wars toys that most of the time you wouldn't be wrong. But I
Right.
tried to be a little more specific and be like, Watto piggy bank that talks.
That was a good one.
Yeah, well, All right, well, I know this wasn't a conventional episode, but does anybody have any takeaways before we check out? Closing thoughts?
I want to apologize.
I don't because we were right.
I want to apologize because at one point he did flip the switch, which we were correct on. You and I were correct. But I want to apologize because he felt so hurt and so
No, he
betrayed.
didn't. It was all
And
part of the
I
act.
was. No, and
No,
I'm so
he-
taken aback by
he-
this right now, Cody.
What, that I'm apologizing?
Yeah.
No, he
I'm,
is
I'm
not.
apologizing because you duped us. You got us. You said
but
you
we were
didn't
right.
have anything.
We were right.
Austin, shut up. No, no. Congratulations, Liam.
For what?
You got Adam.
What do you mean God?
You got him.
I was just here to do
What?
an episode. We organically came to this.
What do you mean he got?
He got you.
All I'm saying is, I went into this with an open mind and I wanted vulnerability. And I got it from Adam, and that helped us sort of guide into something we could naturally talk about.
No, this was planned from the beginning.
It wasn't. But I appreciate your faith in me that I would have something prepared.
He's talking it up right now, dude. He is.
I'm really glad that you guys sat down and had this conversation with me, that you were willing to go along with me, even without knowing that I had any idea about where I was going, because I didn't.
I will die on this hill. I don't believe him at all.
Thank you guys for taking the time to sit down and talk about this stuff with me. I'm always very excited to talk about stuff like this, not just movies, but like the sort of underlying aspects of them that are there that you don't necessarily always think about, especially ones that are problematic, and I knew we had all seen this movie, so I figured it would be a good time. So thanks again for sitting down with me. I hope you guys walked away with maybe some new perspective on how to identify this stuff, or maybe things that you've already watched that already contain stuff like this. That's really all I got.
Thank you, Liam.
Thanks,
Thank
Liam.
you.
I'll make it legal.
Austin showed so much restraint today. All right, bye.
See ya.
You've been listening to Learner's Permit. Thanks for listening. We hope you learned something today. Until next time, goodbye.